What's up, everybody? I haven't done one of these in a while. I think, well, a couple of years now. But basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience working at the post office as a mailman, right? So, I started working there, spring of last year? No, I applied in April of last year. And then I didn't start till like almost 3 months later, so almost using up my 90 days. But generally speaking, for me, from where I'm standing, it's not a great job. All right. And most people will say that about every job, but the post office is legit, and I guess it depends on location too in regards to how good your supervisors are, because in reality, your supervisors make or break your experience, like at the post office. Like I said, like I was a mail carrier, and from the get go, like there were red flags. You know, you're supposed to get your orientation date in a timely manner after you get um, your your background testing and all that stuff done, and it comes back. I didn't get mine till what, about 2.5 months later. So by the time I started orientation, like I only had, what, 2 weeks left of probation. Like you're supposed to start, like when you start working, you're supposed to have 3 months, 90 days of probation. I had gotten my higher form. Let me see if I can get it. I had gotten this form um, while I was still waiting to even get my orientation date. You know, just crazy. Then when I get there, I'm trying to learn the job. They put me on different short routes, which was fine. But it started getting a little weird, a little crazy. Not that I necessarily dislike this part, but it's just like out of the ordinary. One of the supervisors at the post office, or yeah, one of the supervisors at the post office that I was assigned to, she was pretty flirty and all that stuff. Quite a bit older than me. Um, but she was thick, so like I mean, like I was down with it, for the most part. Like we'd hug or whatever, like I was down with it. Like there was one time I was sitting in the break room, and she walked by. The postmaster walked in first, and she walked in behind the postmaster. I don't know what they were doing, but like she kissed at me when she saw us in the break room. She was like, so. I'm not trying to get into too much detail, but the point being is, there's definitely some extra, a little bit of extra stuff going on there. Like I said, and like I said before, like I was fine with that part, but it kind of highlights, it's probably not the most tightest ran ship. You know what I mean? So anyway, I started on my route, start doing my routes and all that stuff, and like they mention in the academy how important it is to case, case fast, as fast as you can. But I tell you right now that that's probably the most important, or the most paramount part of being a carrier, being a mailman, is how quickly you case. Because even if you have a shit ton of stuff, how quickly you case determines how quickly you can get out on the street. Because even if you're slow on the street, at least in my opinion, even if you're slow on the street, you can kind of make that up in spurts. You know what I mean? Like maybe, two or three neighborhoods don't have any packages or anything like that. So you can just focus on mail. For me, like that was when I was at my quickest, when I didn't have to worry about packages for like 50 homes, or, however long. But here's the problem. That same supervisor and supervisors in general would try to dictate to you how to case, and you get junk mail. The normal mail, the envelope mail, or what they call DPS, like that's already in order. Like you don't need to case that. It's the junk mail that you need to case. The hot mail is what they call it, like at the post office. But I wasn't good at casing. I mean, it would take me 2, 3. Shoot, I wish it took me 2 hours. It would take me 3 hours to get through half of my junk mail. And like I ended up staying out till like 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. Clocked in at 9:30, stayed out till 11:30. Not necessarily because I was so short or so long, like on the street, but it took me 4 hours to case the hot mail and then scan all my packages, because I had two APUs, or whatever those bins are called, two APUs of packages, and for the CCAs, we scan our packages in, and then if you don't know your route, you number them. And so that supervisor, she wanted me to not necessarily restart, but she wanted me to redo something. No, 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 no. I had to put out newspapers and like junk mail type magazines that come in stacks. And like I already knew if I had to case that, then I was going to be even later than what I was. So I tried to put that in my truck so no one would notice. And I guess someone told her or whatever. And so I had cased most of my hot mail, and she came to me talking about oh, you need to case your ad, those ad magazines, and that the advertisement mail, what y'all also call junk mail. You will need to case that. And I'm annoyed at this point, you know, because that's going to take me another however long, another hour probably. Because usually it runs in order, but it still will skip homes or skip houses or slots, like in the case. So they'll tell you like it runs in order, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be house to house to house to house. It'll be house, three houses, house, another three, four, five houses. So it just takes time, you know. And it ended up taking me what 3, 4 hours because I got there at what 9. I didn't leave till 12, which is awful. Like if you're a carrier, you know that's awful time to be leaving the station. And on top of that, it wasn't like I knew the route, so I'm not going to be super fast like on the street. I still got to get these packages out. So it was like 10:30 that same day. She calls me on the phone talking about where are you? And you're supposed to be back and yada yada yada. And I halfway went off. I was like, I was in the post office until what 4 hours casing because you asked me to a case. What you mean? Where am I? Like I'm out trying to do this route. Never mind the fact that there was a downpour 2 hours before this point. So I'm over here getting out, putting in mail, putting packages like at the door, like in the rain, doing part of the route. So long story short, she ends up sending out another carrier to help me finish up, quicker, I guess. Bunch of stuff like that. And then on Saturday, no, I forget if it was Saturday or Sunday where we did Amazon, but it was one of the weekend days. Not the postmaster, but the next manager above her. I guess she told her about what had happened, conveniently leaving out the part where she had she helped things go from bad to worse by having me stay an extra hour to do some more casing. And so, the other manager gets on my case. And then at that point, I cussed her out and the supervisor, the first supervisor. So I cussed out both supervisors, like at that post office. And they sent me to the other post office that was in my city because the city that I was in has two post offices. Okay. So this post office I went to had the postmaster for the city, like at that post office. So that was a better time, and I did okay. No real complaints there. But you could tell the postmaster was close to retirement. He was just like, man, do what you need to do. And I ain't got no complaints. Like in my opinion, like he was pretty good. Wasn't stressing out drivers like most of these post offices will nowadays. But that was the first time that I cussed out supervisors at one of the post offices. In total, I think I cussed out four supervisors, two at that location, and then another two at a different location. Because the second location they needed CCAs because they didn't have enough RCAs, so they would get CCAs from different cities to fill in to help out. Cuss those CCAs out, or cuss those supervisors out at the second post office, not the one that I was sent to, because after the one I was sent to, like I was there for a little while, and then they sent me to help out, like at this, well, I guess third post office, right? So I cussed those supervisors out. It was a lot like the first post office where they want you to case. Like, I mean, at the very least, they would send someone to help you case like faster, but that wasn't a consistent thing. But basically, after like a month of being there, I don't know how this happened, but someone was leaving parcels, or someone left a box of a crate of parcels next to my parking space. And like I'm really now I may not be nothing as far as casing, but I'm pretty good at getting all my parcels, okay? Because parcels is where the post office makes their money. So, you prioritize that. Like you have certified mail and all that stuff, but by and large it's going to be parcels, packages. So I'm good at making sure I got all my parcels, you know what I mean? And so when I left that day, there was nothing, there were no parcels like around my truck. 3 weeks later, this random driver who I had gotten into it, like 2 weeks prior, gotten into it with, comes up to me, talking this, saying, "Oh, you left parcels and all that stuff." And I just, like I was ignoring her because, like I said, I had gotten into it with her not too long before. Then she goes to a manager. No, I'm sorry. She goes to a supervisor there saying that I left parcels, and then the supervisor tries to come over and reprimand me. Now I'm already not in a great mood because I got this long ass route. This driver that I don't care for like at all is over here trying to talk ish, and now you coming over here, So at this point, I'm like, well, they must not have heard about me, when I was at my first post office. So long story short, I didn't cuss as much as I did the first time. I did a little bit, but basically my point to her was, and this is what I told her, well, part of it was like, listen, if y'all don't like the way that I'm doing things, or if y'all feel like y'all need to make up stuff, about me leaving parcels outside of my truck voluntarily in the post office parking lot, like if you're gonna leave parcels, like that would literally be the worst place to leave it at. You know what I mean? But you guys are gonna make up stories about how I'm leaving parcels on purpose. I was like, okay, like if y'all think I'm doing all this, then I can go home and y'all can find someone else to do it. Oh no, like you need to stay here and take your route. You can't abandon the route or whatever term they used. I'm like, F y'all, I'm going home. So I went home. Second post office that I cussed out. So it's just like, it's a really weird, strange, toxic environment. And this is a pseudo government institution. After that, went back to the post office, the one with the postmaster. Yeah, the one with the postmaster. And after that, like I was sent to help out at almost every post office in the county I live in, basically in Fulton County. Um, and shoot, one in Decatur too. They had me help out at Duluth, Fort Marietta post offices, Roswell. Um, yeah, yeah, that's no, that's about it. But um, but after a while, and I'm surprised I stayed there for what 6, 7 months. But at that 6 or 7 month point, like I had just had it because they sent me off to Smyrna to help out for seasonal, and I'm like, I'm spending all this gas to come out one way. Then obviously I got to go back home at that time because I was living in Alpharetta, so that's not a short drive. But it was just crazy. So by that time, like I was just over it. I put in my 2 week notice right as the holiday season was like starting up. So it's just a matter because like people have their opinions on what is wrong with the post office. I think obviously it's understaffed, but it's like crazy because they're not going to be able to keep drivers or staff mainly because the supervisors, like the post office, like any other job, has rules and regulations. From post office to post office, no one cared. Like as far as supervisors and managers, like they don't care about the rules and regulations for the post office. I've seen it firsthand. They make up their own rules. Drivers are only supposed to be out so long. Drivers need to have help for, to get the packages done. They don't send help. I mean, there are days where I was out there for 13 hours, for various reasons. Um, I probably would have to make a second video to really go in depth about like the issues. But from my experience, the supervisors don't care about what the rules and regulations are, and the managers for that matter. They want to do what benefits them so they can look good to their postmaster and their superiors. And it ends up screwing the drivers and clerks over and all that stuff. Don't get me started on the clerks A lot of the clerks not being able to keep up with the load with throwing packages to the different routes, to where there are times where we're supposed to be out on the street by 11 o'clock. We don't get out there by 1. It's just crazy. But anyway, y'all, this video is running kind of long. I'll see y'all in my next videos. Oh, and I am uploading gameplay, video game footage, in this channel. So check it out. All right.